Alrighty, test 1 2 3, test 1 2 3. Looks like the audio is working out. Hey everyone, we have an earlier stream for today. Loki's really hyped up because I'm talking with you guys. I'll say hi to him in a second. Well, you guys can say hi to him in a second. But really, guys, I want to do just a quick little update about what's going on with the markets here. Then we're just going to hop into what's going on with Joe Biden, because I do think this is going to be very, very important. Because, again, depending on who is the next president, whether it's a Biden, a Trump, an RFK, or somebody else at this point, it does matter to what happens with the cryptocurrency community, the stock market, finance in general, and it's going to be just a big day for all of us, okay? So hopefully you guys are all having a good day here. I wanted to start off this pretty simple, basically. Let's go back over here. Bitcoin didn't have the best of days here. We had a good news, or a good, we reacted strongly to the CPI report, which was fantastic. Unfortunately for us, Germany is still selling off Bitcoin, and they're selling off a lot. They have a little bit left to sell. After that, we should be looking at something more of a pop. But despite that, we still haven't found a way to get back to being into a bullish MACD, and that does concern me here. So I'm still going to be waiting before trying to do any large trades. I'm just going to be pausing and waiting to see what happens later on, okay? That's kind of the gist. We'll be talking about this a little bit later on tonight as well, but I just want to give you guys that quick update here. As far as inflation is concerned, 3%, better than expectations, still having a very bad result overall, right? Now, where inflation was strongest, I would say, is, let me go over here very fast. You guys like seeing this, I hope, but it's nice to see what's going up and what's going down. So this is the breakdown for June 2024 in one chart. These are some of the core categories plus other items with notable year-over-year price increases. So how much has stuff gotten expensive over the last year? Frozen, non-carbonated juices and drinks are up 20%. Eggs are up 10%. Uncooked beef roast, I don't know if any of you guys like beef roast, but they're good, 10%. Bacon, 8%. Pork chop, 7.4%. Frankfurters, I don't know what a Frankfurter is, honestly, but that's up 7%. Butter up 7%. Baby food plus formula up 5.6%. Dried beans and stuff like that, 4.0%. And you see a lot of other stuff not really moving up too much. It's okay. It's okay. Food away from home up 4.1%, 5%, 4.3%. So, you're looking at a little bit worse there. Energy is only up a little bit, which is very, very good. We're not looking nearly as bad as we did back in 2022. Of course, we were having like oil issues and whatnot. But ever since, I think Biden kind of backtracked on his oil policy, just to let the oil drillers, drill baby drill, as they say. And I think that worked out for him to his benefit, actually. Motor vehicle insurance up 20%. Video discs and other media, I don't know if any of you guys actually own video discs, but they're up around 18-19%. Admission to sporting events 15%. Elderly at home 11.4%. I did feel some of that. Photogenic equipment and supplies 10%. Indoor plants 10%. So you're seeing a lot of stuff still go up year over year, but hopefully as time goes on that will slow down just a little bit. Now I was looking at this a little bit ago, and then there was some breaking news that hit me on this little bit red bar up here. Basically, I guess Biden made a gaffe, and I looked on Twitter, and yes, it is a big gaffe here. Biden stumbles over Zelensky introduction and calls him President Putin. So today, this long day, guys. I apologize for that. Today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be watching his press conference. I'm going to put my headphones on. We're going to listen to it. It looks like, excuse me. We have about 10-11 minutes before it gets started here, but there's already been a huge amount of ruckus over this, apparently, which is going to be interesting. You guys know I'm making this transition to be talking about news, politics, cryptocurrency, stocks, all this type of stuff here pretty soon. And I think this is my first big stream related to politics, like dedicated to, what's going on with the election. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. I know it's going to be a little bit more of something we're not used to, but let's see how it works out. I'm going to keep going either way, right? But yeah, so Biden stumbles over Zelensky introduction, calls him President Putin. I will play the sound for you guys in a few seconds. That way you guys can hear it. But that's kind of the big news happening right now. It actually had a big breaking news banner on the top of CNBC, which was surprising to me. But it makes me remember how much people are actually looking at this thing. They're going to scrutinize every little thing. I don't even think that's necessarily a huge deal, but because of his cognitive decline, that it becomes a huge deal, if that makes sense. So President Joe Biden, an embarrassing verbal stumble on Thursday, introduced Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky as President Putin. Biden's botched introduction of Zelensky came less than an hour before Biden was due to face reporters in his first news conference, right? And it says breaking news, fresh updates. But let me put my headphones on here so we can listen to it. Again, I don't think it's necessarily the wildest thing out there, but it's definitely not going to make him look any better, because of everything that's been going on. He's under siege. Oh, okay, so it's actually trending #1 on Twitter here. X, I don't know what you guys want to call it. Yep. Rob Biden's big boy. I don't know why they called it the Biden big boy conference. Oh, they had different stuff going on here. Pritzi's. It disappeared. See, it disappeared. Let me see. It was there for a second, and then it was not there. Michael Early, the Pritzi's. Back up a second. If I type in Biden, I'm sure I'm going to find it. Shows you how fast things move, though. All right, so this looks like it's only 23 seconds long. We can listen to it very fast. There you go. Let's see how this works out.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better. And now,
yeah, okay, so yeah, not the best of things here, obviously. And hey, Rose, happy to see you. Hi, IC Blockchain. I'm enjoying my day off thanks to the clouds. Hey, if you guys get a free day off, I hope you guys enjoy it here. Let me see. And then basically what I got going on for now, I think it's this one here. We'll basically be able to watch it. Or is it this one? YouTube scenes. It's up here. Because we're supposed to have a specific one here. Let's see. Oh, I see what happened. I moved stuff around when I wasn't supposed to, and that'll do it, I guess. There we go. That makes sense there. Yeah, that'll do the trick, I guess. Yep, that'll do the trick. Yeah, but basically, I have a few different ways to watch it here. There's a few. There's one on CNN, one on AP News, one on from the White House, actually, the website here. Just up a little bit more. That's how it's supposed to look. There we go. And then one from CNBC. So one of these two will have a very good viewpoint of what we're going to be looking for. And by that, I mean they're not going to have all that text and shit on the screen. They might just have him talking. And I think that's the best way to go forward, because I hate when they have the little banners in the bottom and stuff like that. Just makes it harder to see everything going on here. Let's see. Hi for information. Appreciate that. Let me go over here very fast. As far as the overall market, I think we're still looking okay. Let me see this right here. This right here. P, there we go. Right there. Let me actually change something up here very fast. Push this over. Do a quick change on my end here. There you go. There we go. Okay. A little bit better now. But anyway, yeah, hopefully you guys are all having a good day. I know this is going to be a little bit more of a interesting experience for us, but I'm hoping that Biden can do just well. Not so much for the campaign, but just so the country looks like it's doing pretty hot, right? Let me see if there's anything else talking about Biden. Oh, no, it seems to be all the same thing. Yeah. Anything else? No, it's all just, yeah, it's all just the gaff. Let's see, that's 23 hours ago. RNC. It looks like Republicans are definitely pouncing on this right now, though. Biden accidentally calls, yeah. It's all the same thing, though. Here's something new. 6 hours ago. House just passed my bill to protect girls' sports by blocking Joe Biden's radical Title IX rewrite. No, I don't even know what that is. Oh, well. Yeah, it seems like all the drama is basically around that right now. We'll see. I don't know if you guys think it's going to be bad or not, but the closer we get to this announcement here, I think it'll be better. We got about 5 minutes left, so let me actually just pull up Bitcoin here very fast. We can do a quick talk about this. You know, overall, everything still remains to be bearish, regardless if you guys are looking on the weekly chart, the daily chart, stuff like that. We're in a bad situation here. We're in a really bad situation. However, I don't think it'll turn terrible or terrifying until we start breaking down below $51,000 to $50,000. If we were to break down below that, it's definitely going to cause a little more chaos there for us in the market as a whole, because altcoins will just plummet like never before. And hey, Crypto Trees, I'm with you, bro. I don't know. I'm rooting for Joe Biden in this conference. I know some of you guys definitely don't like the guy, but I'm rooting for him to do a good job, just because the whole world is looking at this right now. And to me, it doesn't really make too much of a difference if he's in the race or he's not in the race. I'm not one of those people that ascribe to it's like democracy is ending if we elect Trump. I don't believe in that type of stuff. Just like how they said the world was going to end when he became president, right? They said the economy was going to go to nothing and all that type of crap. And it's just, COVID happened, but I don't blame him for the virus stuff. But yeah, so it's definitely interesting here. I don't think it matters if he's running or Kamala's running or Gavin Newsom's running and stuff like that. For now, I just want the country to be able to kind of do okay and look okay. I'm looking at CNBC right now. It looks like we have around 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Everything else, 3 minutes, yeah. Oh, CNN pushed theirs back another 30 minutes before it talks. I wonder if the White House actually pushed that back. We'll have to see. When's the White House one? There we go. Oh, no, the White House is live. It says, next up, President Biden holds a press conference. I like how they keep it so ceremonial, like nice, I can hear a piano or something playing in the background. So we do have that working out in our favor. Let me go back over here very fast. There we go. But for now, Bitcoin's still pretty bearish. I wish there was some better news, of course, but daily chart, still bearish. 4-hour chart, turning bearish, which is my favorite thing to say. 2-hour chart, bearish. 1-hour chart, bearish. 30-minute chart, bearish. It's just not looking great. I think if you guys want to get a little bit more bearish, I guess, in the short term, we're just going to wait for this breakdown here. That'll lead us back down here, probably towards the low 55s or not, or so. Not terrible, but again, it's just not going to be good. I'm looking at some of the things that fell down today. Like Bitcoin overall, this is a 30-minute chart for Bitcoin. We're actually looking okay. But Ethereum, okay. But look at some of these ones like WIF coming down hard. Miro coming down hard. Some of these meme coins, Floki and such, they are having really bad days here. Some things like ICP is up 2-3% today, not terrible. But we're really having a mixed bag here. And I wonder if that's just because of what happened to CPI. Like Fetch AI is down 4%, NMR is down 3.5%. Definitely not too good here. Let's see. Ocean down 4%, Cospa down 2%. I don't know. It just feels a little bit off today. Jasmine's down 5%. There's definitely some panic going on here. They're still programming the AI. I don't know if there was AI programming Joe Biden. I think it'd be an improvement though, because Joe Biden just hasn't been the best at doing this type of stuff, right? But again, I have all this stuff ready to go. Depending on when, like AP says they start at 1 minute and 30 seconds. The White House is already up, although you guys can see nothing is happening at this point. It's just kind of paused. You got CNN happening in 26 minutes, and then you got CNBC happening at about 1 minute and 11 seconds. So we're pretty much there, right? Excuse me. And then I'll be able to figure out which one we're going to be watching here. But I don't know. Do you guys think this is actually going to help him out or hurt him? I mean, based off of the Zelensky, President Putin type of mismatch, I think it's probably going to just, no matter what they do, it's just going to be bad because they started off in such a bad fashion. But what do you guys think right now? Do you guys think this is going to be able to help him out? I know I put that poll up here for those of you guys that want to vote on it. Will this press conference stop Democrat defections? Only 16% of you guys are saying yes right now. That's surprising. I don't know. I wonder how much hope. I'm stuttering here, guys. ADHD is a pain in the ass. But I wonder if he can seriously save his campaign at this point, or if he's just going to try to be locked down and be stubborn and say, hey, there's no way in hell I'm leaving. Only the God Almighty can tell me. Or if a bunch of senators and Democrats come together, will that be enough pressure? But if I was President Biden, I have control. I don't have to relinquish it. It's all up to my decision. You could pretty much just say, stop. I don't give a rat's ass what you guys are thinking about. I'm the one that's deciding that I'm staying in the race, And eventually the Democrats would, they could flip-flop and whatever, but they could just say, okay, whatever, or they can say, I'm not voting for you. But they can't because they've tucked themselves into that mindset that if Donald Trump becomes president, the world ends, so to speak, right? Democracy ends, which is kind of a crazy way to say that, because then your mind, if you think that, can go to a lot of dark places in order to stop Trump from becoming president, which is why I don't like those types of overarching the world's ending type of stuff. Why is the market still effed? We've been waiting 5 to 6 months now, and why hasn't there been any talk on Ethereum ETF? There's always news about the Ethereum ETF, but it's usually small updates and stuff like that. Today, as far as Bitcoin's concerned here, it really goes to the fact that Germany right now is still selling off large amounts of Bitcoin. I think they only have so many left, but right now, I would look at the daily chart. All we're trying to do in the worst of scenarios is just stay flat, so we can work our way up to that breakout. We actually had a good response to the CPI data. We had a really good response here this morning, right? Trickling up as the early morning hours happened. CPI came out, nice, beautiful spike where Bitcoin ended up popping off. I don't know how much that came up. About 1.5%. It's not a lot, but basically, Germany was selling, and it just kind of went right against that, and there wasn't enough buyers to kind of keep that support happening. So let me go back over here to this Bitcoin. See where we at. Meanwhile, Germany is selling their Bitcoin. El Salvador is buying more Bitcoin every day. But let me see if I can find it. There we go. This is 3 hours ago, so this is probably the closest update I can see. Germany now only has less than 300 million in Bitcoin available left to sell. After that's gone, plus some of this Mt. Gox stuff disappears, we should be okay. My big thing is, if this kind of worries you to a certain degree, you guys don't have to dollar cost average into this market. You guys can simply just pause and then wait for Bitcoin to get more bullish, and then try to strike that bullish momentum shift, and that can also make you a good amount of money. And it requires you not to basically means you can't be doing too much right now in the market. You're pretty much just sitting on the sidelines and chilling out. Or you can go over to the stock market where everything's going freaking insane right now, where you have like all-time highs. The Russell 2000, a bunch of money is flowing into there out of the big seven, basically, Magnificent Seven as they call it. So I'm excited to see what happens over there. But crypto right now, it's definitely it's just boring right now, right? It's boring. Let me go over here very fast. Oh, the heck? Associated Press was about to play some music here. I can't be listening to music. I'll get in trouble by YouTube. So I'm gonna push play, go to live, but the volume is gonna be off there. CNBC, they're waiting for it to go live. CNN postponed it for 20 minutes, so it might be a while before we actually get an opportunity to watch this thing kick off. Just because you know how they don't have set times. I mean, even the White House is live right here as well. I love the White House one because it just looks so, sophisticated, so important, slightly imperialistic. I think people forget how imperialistic America used to be. We had a whole cool imperialistic architecture. It was very boring in a way, but it was it. It was it. All right, let's go back over here. We can look at Bitcoin for a second. Once this thing kicks up, I'll be sure to go back over there once I see the White House turn on, or Associated Press, or any of this type of stuff. Okay. So let's go back over here very fast. Bitcoin only Germany only has 300 million Bitcoin left to sell. Just in, Mr. 100 bought another 700 Bitcoin over the last few days. Keep tracking. Jesus. Whenever I see somebody buying up so much Bitcoin, I always have to pause. Who is this? What is this individual? Is it a company? Is it a stock? What is it? Or it's me, a country. But yeah, this will go down in history as one of the biggest mistakes a nation can make. I mean, I don't know. What do you call at this day and age? Some people are going to be on board with Bitcoin, some are not. You could just see the value of the German currency, I guess the euro in this case. You could just see that be going down over time, and people are going to be okay with it. Let's see. Elon Musk said Tesla will accept Bitcoin if it's 50% renewable. It is now 55.8% sustainable energy used, higher than any other industry in the world. Huh. It'd be kind of cool to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin here. I'm not going to because I don't need a new car, but I have a lot of people. Well, I know a lot of people that have Teslas. Way too many people that have Teslas that I know. Actually, it's kind of weird. A big Bitcoin bull flag pattern in the making here. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case here. It's just that we for sure just don't know, because we've been trying to figure out this for a while. And for those of you guys that are trying to hedge, we have those dollar cost averages. We're trying to make some money here, but as I show you guys my portfolio quite a bit here, it's not looking great. Even if this is a small portfolio, we're still down. See all that red? Ethereum is up a little bit. Everything else is down. I guess we did sell some of the stuff we were profitable with because we wanted to lock in those profits, but you can still see a lot of stuff is down. SLP is down 52%. Now, I only put in like $20 into here, but still, it's a pretty crazy downward move there, and it doesn't look necessarily the best. Even though, look at this spike it had too. You see? Altcoins responded very well to the CPI numbers, but not well to Bitcoin being dumped upon by the Germans. So, it could have been a little bit better there, but that's okay. And hey, I'm happy to see you guys. Hopefully, you guys are all having a good day. Right now, we're just kind of chilling and waiting and watching some Bitcoin here, but we're going to be watching Joe Biden's press conference. That's really the focus of this video. I just want to let you guys know, well, it's important, guys. Really, for those of you guys that aren't in the United States, we're not even sure like how this guy is doing. We were trying to figure it out over the last few weeks. I always thought he was having some cognitive decline issues, but after the debate, I didn't realize how bad it was. And I've made fun of him, made jokes about him, because I usually laugh at any politician because I don't like politicians. However, today is a big day where everybody's saying, hey, if he can get through this press conference, perhaps there's a way for him to save his candidacy. Maybe he can survive long enough to challenge Trump in November. And people saying if it's not a good press conference, then it's going to be very, very bad for him and he'll have to drop out of the race. And maybe somebody like a Kamala Harris is taking over for him, and then she'll be the new nominee. But she already has a lot of problems herself. A lot of problems. Like, she's not a good campaigner. She's a very bad campaigner. Remember, she had a high turnover when she was in the vice presidency and a high turnover when she was running for office. So she's not necessarily the best. And so, it opens up all these Pandora's boxes about what's going to happen. Is this good? Is this bad? Stuff like that, right? Okay, something fun here for you guys. I know you guys can barely see it. So you guys know how I multi-stream and I'm streaming on TikTok and stuff. Because I'm talking about the elections and stuff, it actually has a little red warning sign saying learn about the U.S. elections, which I think is crazy. Maybe YouTube is going to have that too. But apparently, I don't know. I'm a misinformation machine or something like that. Oh, man. But yeah, we're going to be waiting on this stuff for a little bit here. I'm just chatting with you guys, chilling. It's a good day. I got myself some nice fresh lemon water here. I really just want to squeeze these limes and squeeze these lemons so it actually makes it more flavorful. But you know what? I'm okay for now. Let's put this over here so you guys can see it. Shrink that down, and there we go. And how come the S&P dumped after good data? Okay, so basically right now, because of high interest rate environments, a lot of people have been putting their money into those tried and true companies like the Apples, Nvidias, and stuff like that. What happened today is all of a sudden, since people think rates are going to be coming down here fairly soon, they've been moving that money out of those places, which have done very, very well, and into some of those lower stocks, those lower market cap stocks like the Russell 2000, Russell 3000, some of those ones, and that's where you saw a lot of the money flowing into today. I think if I were to go over here to Fenders for you guys, they don't have the Russell. Let's see, do they have CNBC? They have the Russell here. Historically strange. This will probably be a good story. There you go. The Russell 2000 rose more than 3%, while struggles for big tech stocks weighed on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. All right. So here's the Russell. Or better yet, let me just go over here. There you go. U.S. Small Cap 2000 Index. See that nice move? Let's go to the weekly chart. You can see how it hasn't really been following along like everybody else, like a lot of other markets. S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, right? This is back over here from 2021 highs. They haven't even taken off since then. So right now you're seeing money flow from the NASDAQ and the SPY and stuff like that over here in anticipation for these to start doing a little bit better, as the interest rates get cut here pretty soon. All that money gets unlocked and gets put in here. That's kind of the theme of what happened today. An interesting theme that we don't see too often. I'd recommend that you look at this article, though, because it is kind of interesting. So I can actually just say right here, since we got free time here. Wall Street saw a dramatic shift in market trends on Thursday, with winning and losing stocks swapping places for a day. It may turn out just to be what the rally needs to keep on going. The Russell 2000 Small Cap Index, which has struggled to find its footing all year, jumped more than 3% on Thursday. At the same time, every stock in the so-called Magnificent Seven fell, including a more than 5% decline for Nvidia and a 2.3% drop for Apple, which dragged down both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ Composite. Bespoke Investments Group shared 2 statistics on the social media site X to demonstrate how rare it is to have that type of split. Open that up very fast. Let's see. Probably this one. What a crazy day. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit more. There we go. What a crazy day. Huge reversal from the recent trend. Here's a look at today's performance compared to the performance since the start of Q2. Mean reversion to the extreme. You know, best, worst. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we haven't had one this large in a long time. We had one. Let's see, what was that? Q2. Average change today. Best. Yeah, we haven't had one of those in a while. There's been just one other trading day since 1979 where the small cap Russell 2000 rose 3% while the S&P 500 was down for the day. That was in 2008. Oh, Jesus. That was way down here. Look at that. Right there. And then we're right there. Crazy times, right? The Russell 2000 was up 4.6%. The S&P was down 1.2%. Today, the Russell 2000 is up 3.35%. The S&P is down 0.75%. So, yeah. That's pretty much what's going on. Money's flowing in and out. I'll add this onto our watch list here. We don't talk about the Russell 2000 all too much, though. It's usually not the craziest thing to be talking about. Honestly, just because we saw that chart here. Let's put this up here with the SPY. There we go. Look at the monthly chart. I mean, nothing has happened after COVID. Nothing happened. You know, we had that initial pop where it came back down during the high interest rate environment, but nothing happened. You go over here to the SPY, you see how it kind of just took off and it was like, whee! It's about to hit another level of resistance and stuff. It's doing fine. What is it? Right here? There you go. You know, it's been doing great so far. The Russell 2000 has not been doing great, not been doing great at all, and it hasn't even broken out. So maybe there's a look for a breakout here, which can move us back up here to those all-time highs. That still remains to be seen, though. That's going to be a big thing here. Let me just do a quick little check to make sure everything is still fine. Okay, there we go. Just making a check to see if anybody's talking yet with Joe Biden and whatnot. Even things like Bitcoin here, from the even Bitcoin is outpacing the Russell 2000. Everything's outpacing the Russell 2000 here. So, give it some time, but I think there's going to be some good plays in here eventually. But the type of stocks in there are not like the Apples and Nvidias. They're much smaller. They're the hundreds of millions to like the low billions, like 1 to 10, 1 to 20 billion, those types of plays. Even up to 1 to 50 billion dollars here. Let me see if I can actually go over here very fast. FinViz. Go to screener. How do I exit this ad? Close? Oh, there we go. Sorry. I was like, what the heck is that? Is there... I mean, let's just look at some of the companies in here, right? You got something over here, 313. Let's go to the highest market cap. The highest market cap in this one is 12.42 billion, it looks like. and that's a biotech company. After that, you got a few other ones here, but they're not necessarily where you typically would feel safe putting a lot of your money. I mean, again, 12 billion, 10 billion, what do we know that also has 10 billion, 12 billion market caps and stuff like that? Tron, ADA, AVAX, Sheep. A little bit of a different ball game there, right? A little bit of a different ball game. But it looks like money is going to flow there. And again, we're also hoping for that to move altcoins up at the same time. Much smaller market caps. Oh, something's happening. Hold on a second here. I heard a funny sound. Oh, okay, might have just been me. I don't know, but I heard a funny sound for a second. Sound like a bzzz. But here it guys. News videos. Any lower scratcher. Biden news conference is at 7 p.m. now. Oh God, they need to just stick to a time. But yeah, we're waiting. The White House stream is live. The Associated Press is live. CNBC is waiting. We're waiting. They were supposed to go live 15 minutes ago, but they didn't. And then CNN is going live in 8 minutes. They adjusted their time here. But yeah, so that's what we're waiting for right now. We'll see. I mean, we're in no rush, guys. We're gonna listen to Joe Biden, see if he does good or bad. We'll discuss and have a good time while we talk. What's Wall Street waiting on? An absolute assurance that we're going to be having rate cuts, I assume. That's probably the best thing they can hope for right now. Inflation has been at or above 3% for 39 consecutive months. And hey, Tyson, dude, it's been rough. I mean, we just talked about that a little bit here as far as... So I can go back to CNBC. Oh, no, here it is. And this, remember, inflation's been going strong for years now. It's not just been 1 year and stuff. It's been going strong for a while now. But this is just the last 1 year. Motor vehicle insurance is up 20%. Other media and video disc up 18%. Admission to sporting events. I don't know if you guys like to go to a football game or something. It's definitely more expensive. 15% because the workers' wages have been going up. Care of individuals, elderly at the home, 11%. Photographic equipment, I don't know about that, but 10%. Indoor plants, 10%. Window coverings, 9%. Cigarettes, up 10% or 9%, excuse me. Men's shirts and sweaters, up 7.6%. Apparel, other than laundry and dry cleaning, up 7.3%. Hospital-related services, 7.1%. Motor vehicle repair, 6.7%. And this is only in the last year. We've been dealing with this for multiple years because they lied to us for a while and said it was transitory. It was not transitory, as they... as they found out eventually. Even parking fees and tolls are up 6.3%. Veterinarian services. I have a dog. Some of you guys have pets too. Up 6.4%. Very, very, very pricey. Juices and drinks. This will surprise me for a while here. Juices and drinks. Why? Why are they up 20%? I have no idea, but they are up 20% here. Even Costco. Let me see if I can show this to you guys here. Even Costco is hiring, hiking the membership fees. Even they're doing that. It's just what it is. It's just a weird time to be out there. Delta stock fell pretty bad today, I believe, too. Actually, no, it leveraged out by the end of the day, or it moderated out by the end of the day. But you saw them saying, Delta says the Olympics will cost at $100 million as travelers skip Paris. Delta said the Paris Olympics will translate to a $100 million revenue hit because travelers are heading to other destinations. Delta has the most service of any U.S. airline to Paris and holds a joint venture with Air France. European travel demand has been robust this summer, and Delta executives expect strong bookings to the region through the start of November. So basically, apparently, I think they had their prices too high, and people, because it's Europe and it's a lot easier to travel than out here. If you guys don't know, Europe has a better transportation system. Instead of just paying all that money to go to Paris, you can go to England or whatever, and it's still more fun to just go from there to there without paying all the extra money. But basically, let's see right here. Delta Airlines says travelers are avoiding the city this summer and booking to destinations elsewhere, amounting to a $100 million hit for the airline during its otherwise bustling summer of European travel. Right? Delta's third quarter profit and revenue forecast fell short of Wall Street expectations after airlines flooded the market with added flights. The airline reiterated its full-year outlook on Thursday. I think I'm flying American Airlines out to Nashville next in a couple weeks. I don't remember the last time I flew on American Airlines. It was definitely I don't think I liked it. I would have flown on them more. I'm a Delta guy usually, then Alaska, then something else. united. Maybe I'll fly Spirit again one day. I flew Spirit once and it was just a very interesting experience. Interesting experience, to say the least. Oh, there's somebody walking back there. Somebody walking. There's another person walking. So at this point, I don't think we need the CNBC one. I don't think we need the CNN one. Let's just kind of get ready for these guys. Dude, this camera is shaky as hell. Everybody walking on the stage. Is he doing a little test? Oh, no, they're still playing music. Okay, we might not be able to listen to this one because they're playing music. But the White House one... Oh, maybe I should have actually added that other one back up here. Hold on a second here, guys. Let me put this over here. Let me go to... Associated Press. That one. Let me go over here to the CNBC one. I think that'll be important as well. Just in case, because they're playing music. They're playing games. We can't be playing music on here. YouTube would get pissed off at me if I do that. All right, there we go. Here's the other one. But until that happens, we can watch this guy stare, and we can watch the camera guys do their camera work here. I'm wondering what you guys think is going to happen during this debate, though. Or not debate. This is a press conference. Now that we're treating it as something that's so important, right? If they cut, doesn't that mean there's something wrong? No. So like if we go deflationary, that's something that's wrong. But we want them to cut because they're overextended. It's, you know, they're not, when they start cutting, their goal is not to bring rates back down to zero. They're going to be hoping to bring rates back down to 2.5% or something like that. But right now, they've been just waiting for prices to not go up as much so they can start cutting those rates back a little bit more here. But yeah. Well, yeah, but it's not bad news. It's bad news if the economy is in such bad shape that they're forced to cut. But if they're cutting because inflation is going down, that's a good thing here. It's kind of hard because as the economy gets worse, that's kind of what the Fed really wanted. Dude, yeah, what are these people all doing? That guy is so freaking awkward there. But let him stare. Make sure the flag's in the right spot. I love how they can just, all the stuff that goes on behind the presidential scenes. Economy is good. Yeah, definitely that makes it a little bit easier for the Fed to keep these high rates going. Sam's Club is raising their fee on their free shipping online. On their free shipping online. We begin shortly. Okay, we're still good to go here. And hey, Tyson, happy to see my man. 6:30 has passed. He's late as fuck. I don't know. He did say he was the first African American vice president or female vice president. I don't know. Well, I smoke with a lot of African Americans. We talk about Biden. I think a lot of them are going to vote for Biden because they just don't like Trump, or they maybe not vote at all. But they are still not above just making fun of the guy every time he makes a gaffe like that. Saying you're the first African American black woman to do something is a very crazy thing to say. And black people listen. Black people listen to this type of stuff a lot. All right, well, we'll leave it here for now. I don't want to make sure I don't get in trouble with that music and stuff like that. Wonder what happens to price if he drops out. I don't know what would happen for Bitcoin, honestly. I mean, I know if Trump were to win or RFK, because they embrace cryptocurrency a little bit more, they embrace the blockchain a lot more. I do think you would see the overall market do better in the long term. But if that announcement were to come down, I don't know what that would actually do for the markets. I would anticipate moving a small move up. Maybe 1%, 2% move up, but then come back down a little bit, and moderate after a few minutes. A little bit of a spike or something like that. $10 he screws up. Dude, that is not a bet anybody's going to take. Right now, Joe, remember, for those of you guys that don't know here, while we're kind of waiting for this to kick off here, let me just make sure everything's fine. Okay. He just made a gaffe a few minutes ago that was trending on X here for a few minutes. Let me just go back over here. Trending. There it is. President Putin. So he introduced Zelensky as Putin, right?
Over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President,
I'm better.
you are a hell of a lot better.
Right? And even Zelensky had to come in there and kind of like, yeah, I'm better. You know, try to match it up a little bit there. But again, you know, it's not what you want to see. If you know everybody is watching you like a hawk, you have to be on your best behavior, right? It's like when you guys were kids and you just got in trouble with your mom and she's like, you know, she's just watching a little bit more closely than normal. You have to be on your best behavior. You can't fuck up. You know, you can't, don't go outside and drink in the back with your friends, something like that. No, don't do shit. Don't do nothing. Just be good for a little bit. Even though you're not going to be good, just be good for a little bit and try. So when they look at you, they're like, okay, they give you a little squint, like, okay. And they close that door and they leave, you know, the room, you know, that's what you got to do. That's what Biden has to do right now. Just get everybody to like, okay, something's going on over there, but let's go back over here. You know, let's go back over here. Because remember, as far as I'm concerned, the media already knew this was happening, but just a few weeks ago, they said all this was fake. They called it cheap fakes, I think is what the term they called it. So now that it's all out in the open, I don't think Biden was actually prepared for them to do the switcheroo on him because they had been covering for him for quite a bit of time. I just think that the dam broke during the debate. And then when the debate happened, he really just could not. You know, he had no excuse, you know. He said he had 11 days after, you know, he had like 11-day jet lag or something. And then he was just tired. He had a cold, a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I just hope he does good here because, again, the world is watching. This is a NATO summit. I'm hoping he does a good job. But, dude, I don't know how long these guys are supposed to take. They're taking their time. Let's add on the CNN one. And the only reason I say let's add on the CNN stream here is because they actually have this countdown timer. They've been adjusting it as needed. Here we go. Oh, no, they're waiting too right now. Actually, everybody's just waiting. So he should be out any minute, but we'll see. As soon as it happens, I'm going to have to push pause on some of these. I'm going to mute some of this stuff because everybody's going to have their own sounds. Oh, boy. But, yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to it. Right now, for the poll, will this press conference stop Democrat defections? 20% say yes, 80% say no. You guys are pretty heavily one-sided on that one. That's surprising to me. But, yeah, maybe that's because we're, you know, more cryptocurrency and stuff in here, and it makes a difference. He just called Zelensky. Yep, exactly. Yep. Harris is from India. She's the first Asian American female president. Dude, there are so many ways she could try to spin that if she wanted to. I just don't think that if she ran, I don't think she would be president. Honestly, I don't think she would do it. I don't think she would win. Excuse me. I remember watching her closely during the 2020 Democratic primaries, and I was like, my grandparents thought about her a little bit about maybe voting for her. She was not good. So that matters, you know. At least from, you know, think of Buttigieg. He was horrible with African Americans. Loki, can we come up and say hi? He's just staring at me like, what are you doing? You want to come say hi? Come on. Yeah. Oh, look at you being the goodest boy in the world. Want to come over? Loki, come on. No? Loki, come here. So, oh, that was mean. He has those nice shiny pearly teeth because he gets those little dental sticks. Oh, no. Sorry, I thought the press conference might have started here, but it didn't. He always has those really sharp baby teeth, though. He's not baby, but they're just sharp. See? Look at those little fangs. Good boy. All right, let's get back over here, though. Get settled in. Grab your popcorn or whatever else you need. I was actually trying to figure out a way to make this layout look better for you guys today. So what I ended up doing was, you know, I put this little Earth logo thing where I tell you guys to share your thoughts if you guys want to comment some of that, but there was no way for me to stretch this out in a way that would look good, because otherwise I would have to move this around and do a bunch of other stuff. And instead of doing that, I'm just like, okay, you know what? They can settle for settle for this right now. Oh man. Biden's still waking up. No, he's out and about today. He has to be out and about today. I don't care about politics. They care nothing about us. Well, yeah, for the most part, yeah. I think the ones that care are usually the ones that are in your local community. So this is where I like small town politics. So if you live in a small town and you have the ability to see your mayor every now and again or meet them in person, I think they have much more of an impact on your everyday life. When I think about politics in DC, I think about it in terms of more of crypto policy and things like that. I don't think about it in terms of, oh my God, they're going to fix my roads. Yeah, they don't give a fuck about my roads. Otherwise, they might have been fixed by now. Stuff like that. So yeah, politicians don't usually get a lot of praise from me. Beyond hurting around. Oh, there you go. Yeah, doggy. Excuse me. Oh yeah, Loki's having a good time here today, biting my hand up here, giving me a little welts. Who is better candidate, Hillary Clinton versus Harris, or as Joe Biden replacement? No, Hillary Clinton should stay far, far away from this election. She should stay as far away as possible. She was not a good politician at all either. Hillary Clinton has too much dirt, really a lot of dirt behind her as well. I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton personally. I don't like her. I really don't like her. She seems very artificial. Now, maybe her people told her to act like that. Maybe she's a wonderful person. I haven't had enough one-on-one time with Hillary Clinton. So, just to ask her questions and stuff, which most voters don't get, of course. But every time I saw her, just seemed so robotic. I think she was banking on people just not liking Trump to win. And while people might not have liked Trump, they didn't hate him to the effect I think she was expecting. Reminds me of Lost Boys. Oh. I see Biden as someone who could or should have freed the weed. Oh, yeah. What do you call it? I would have loved to have free, weed be legalized across the states. They just never passed the bill. They never went through it. They never wanted to fight for that type of stuff. How do you pump into February and then go red? They couldn't even just give us no months of green. In the market? We're closing on 150 days of red. Oh, yeah, it's been a pain in the butt. Yeah, it's been rough. And then more recently, I would say with the Mt. Gox news and the Germany news, it's been abysmal. It's been horrific. We usually have something in the Bitcoin market, and we go into a bear market, stuff like that, sure. But it's not something like this, right? It's just that everybody gets too euphoric, and then all of a sudden, boom, right? I don't think people got euphoric about Bitcoin this cycle. I mean, did you guys get euphoric? We're like, damn, this is too good to be true. I never felt like that. I never felt like that this cycle, to be honest. Maybe that was my bad, but that's one of the reasons I still think we have a long way to go upwards throughout this, what I continue to call a bull market cycle. But it's not something I'm used to at all. Not at all. Let me go through the list here. It is past 4 o'clock my time, which means he's about 33 minutes late, I believe. They're still going. Haven't gone yet. Oh, CNN has stuff now. Jesus, what's all this news? What is with the news on late? Like, news? I don't know. But CNN is also ready to go, so we might listen to this one here as well. I like how they have all the different types of heights of people. Because Joe Biden is not going to be that short. So we got some stuff happening here. White House isn't there yet. They're still waiting. And CNBC hasn't kicked on just yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Man, I didn't expect them to be late. I set the schedule for 15 minutes before they talk so we can have a nice little conversation. Hit the press conference, and that was it. With this right now, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be talking or not anytime soon. Yeah, we'll see. And hey, JJBD. Oh, dude, feel free to rant as much. Like, if you guys don't want to talk about anything, feel free. I try to be as chill as possible with these types of streams. I don't have some type of set way of doing things just yet. I'll have one eventually. But my big fear is if I get large enough, like a Meet Kevin or a Graham Stephan or one of these larger streamers, where I don't necessarily have time to pay attention to the comments. I like that. And what that does is if I don't pay attention to the comments, I may get more views because I stay more on schedule and it looks like more like a professional show. If I'm not doing it, so there might be a time where I might have to start doing that, but then I think I'm just going to have the fuck around streams where I just stream with you guys and just chill out, even if I know it's not going to get a lot of views. So, a lot of different ways of going about that. So I have to I've been swiveling more in my chair lately because I just want to be more comfortable. Loki's over here saying hi, of course. But yeah, so feel free to chill, talk about whatever you guys want to do, rant. I care. I'm not saying I don't care, but it's chill. It's chill. The White House is getting like FNN podcast always late. I mean, give them some time, I guess, but all we can do is wait. Like if you want to see, you gotta wait. That's the rough part here. Let's go over here very fast. See if I can move this a little bit here. There we go. Gotta wipe that butt. Let's hope he's in better shape than that for today. I don't think this is going to be a disaster, but I feel like this is going to be much more choreographed than we're used to. Like, I feel like when you're at the separate podium, I feel like he's going to have people in a list that he's going to call, and it's not going to be, he's going to know the questions ahead of time. I don't think they're just going to call on anybody. So I don't think it's necessarily as dire as people say. It's past 4 p.m. You'd think they would have done the conference at like 10 a.m. and his when he's in his prime. Yeah, I mean, Zachary, yeah, you'd probably think that, but no. Because today was, remember, this is a NATO conference, a NATO event. I believe this is just when they had time to do so. Now, it's 4 o'clock my time, so it's about 7 o'clock his time. He says he's really bad. They say he's really bad after 8 o'clock. So perhaps as this press conference goes on, perhaps you may see him get worse and worse and worse. I'm hoping not. Like, again, I don't like Joe Biden really at all as far as a president or a candidate for president. He's not really my preferred candidate. That being said, because he is the leader of the United States, I still hope for the best of him, right? I typically don't like politicians too much. I try to see which one is going to help me out personally the most, right? And I don't mean by my grocery bills and stuff, although some people make that calculation. I'm thinking about like what happens with crypto, what happens with how I get paid, small basic things like that, which are small to me. My big overarching things when I want to vote for somebody, it's at the state level, it's at the county level, it's at the city level. It's not really at the federal level here. I don't think of presidential elections as being something that's too, what would you say? I can't think of the word here. Sorry. Consequential. Let me see right here very fast. There we are. So let's see what happens here. There's still how many times can you change a flag? The flag looks fine. It's a flag. Like, it's going to look fine. Look at them. They just change the flags every single minute. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the tedious stuff here. Oh, look at, they got a better view though. Okay, let's shift away from that one. I don't know why they got to pay attention to the flags and stuff. Yeah, people are still coming in to sit though. I mean, this could take a while. Why are they so late? Yeah, why are they so late? I'm not entirely sure. And let me see if I can do this very fast. That one wouldn't work, would it? No, we'll stick to this one, I would say, for now. But yeah, we'll get a good idea of what he's going to be doing here today. I'm hoping it works out for him. Remember, the worse he is, the more likely we're going to go into World War III and shit. I don't want World War III. I can't be making a lot of money in World War III. Even in crypto would fall like a rock in World War III. He's not going to mention crypto. Nobody cares about crypto. Only us loyal OGs. Oh yeah, I don't expect Biden to talk anything about cryptocurrency right now. Nothing about cryptocurrency yet at all. Nothing. Trump, he talks about cryptocurrency as part of his speech every now and again. RFK does as well, but they're looking for those votes. Joe Biden isn't courting crypto voters. He's not saying, "Hey, crypto voters, vote for me. I'm the pro crypto guy." No. He doesn't care, and that's his right? But yeah, he doesn't necessarily care about crypto voters right now as far as getting their policy wishes, fulfilled. We're not even on the top 100 of his list of things he feels like he needs to do. You want to talk to Larry Fink? Oh man, that'd be rough. N.A. Zager, we have two clowns in the running. One is the depresso, the sad clown. The other is Trumpini, the loud and violent clown that might or might not be allowed at a children's parties. There's no. I don't know. There's just everybody's making a tough choice this November. Everybody's making a tough choice. I will say that RFK is in the running still. He's not going to win, but he can mess things up for either side. Then you also got Cornel West. He's running. I think Marianne Williamson is running, I believe. Maybe Jill Stein is running. I don't. Is there a what do you call candidate this time around? Is there a libertarian candidate this year? Let me just look this up very fast. Let's see. Politico. May 26th. Libertarians pick Chase Oliver as presidential nominee. Oh, he was chosen back in May. Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know. It always feels kind of weird to celebrate something like that because you're going to lose, but at least you can share your values and hopefully grow your party over time. You know what I mean? But the libertarians, the way they would run the country, all that government spending would just be slashed like crazy. You think they're mad at Trump for slashing some areas? Nah, they would go on all out war with the libertarians. They'd be furious. At least Trump was willing to spend a lot of money to help them out. Libertarians like, nah, we can't keep spending that much money. We gotta fix this. It'd be chaotic. What? How late are they? They're almost an hour late. 45 minutes late right now. Oh, limited water. How I love thee. There you go. Maybe he is ashamed after calling Zelensky President Putin. If you're ever ashamed like that, you just have to grind out the rest of the night. Though we've all had bad days, we've all had bad experiences. You just have to grind it out. You don't run away, But I don't think he is. But you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to do it. That's what it's gonna take here. That's what it's gonna take. Hey, anybody thoughts on Bonk? And maybe we should get Loki to run for president. I'm sure he could do a better job. What do you call? I don't want Loki to get gray hair, so no, thank you for Loki. As far as Bonk, it's generally okay here. It's something that you would dollar cost average, but in the long term here, it's fine. Where I see concern right now is if Bitcoin were to break down over the next few days, and it was still bearish because Germany's selling, Mt. Gox people are selling and stuff like that. That's where you start to have a little more panic with Bonk. But I'm using this opportunity with Bonk to do a lot more dollar cost averaging. They are still, they're not ready yet. Let's go over here very fast. Bonk also had a good reaction to the CPI data this morning. It just happened to also get rejected again. What I'm doing here is I'm using this opportunity over the next few days to start buying up some more. I sold some Bonk back over here on Tuesday. It popped up since I bought it down here, and I was like, oh, that's a good place to sell. I sold. I am going to be buying back over for a little bit of a longer term hold. But I think that'll probably happen today or tomorrow. Let me see if I go over here very fast. Let's say Thursday. Yeah, it says Thursday. More people are trickling into that room here, so we should be good soon. Let's go over here. I don't think I own any more Bonk. No, I do. I bought Bonk yesterday as well. So, And I see, and now it's down like 30%. Oh, I did a 3x leverage on the 2x leverage. That'd be it. Okay. Well, let me just toss another $50 into this one. There we go. There we go. That's my new average. I'll average down a little bit more as time goes on. But yeah, I'm definitely buying into it right now. But it's going to have to come down a little bit more, then make that pop. I don't see it doing a crazy pop tomorrow unless Bitcoin can really get back on track, which remains to be seen. U.S. oil about to break out here. The dollar index broke down. This is something that I thought was going to happen yesterday. It's very good news. We'll have to see if it's able to break down below 104 now and if it can keep on coming down and down and down further along. But, we've been waiting, and I think this may be an opportunity for Bitcoin to go well. When we saw it crash over here in October, Bitcoin started to really go sky high in October, so I'm hoping something similar can happen this time around too, even if it has to start at the end of July with the FOMC meeting or somewhere in August as well. There we go. So how's everything looking here? Podium, yeah. CNBC is still not starting up here. CNBC is just being patient. Messages. Okay, there we go. There's so much spam on my account these days. I'm kind of overwhelmed by it. I'm hoping that it turns out to go. I'm hoping it goes away soon. But the spam is crazy. And hey, Gambit, happy to see my man. Thanks for hitting the like button, guys. And hey, Gambit. So this is Joe Biden's press conference. He's going to be talking about NATO, Zelensky, Ukraine, that type of stuff. But because people are really concerned with his cognitive decline over the past few weeks, of course, everybody is watching this to see how he does, because typically he's been doing a lot of teleprompter stuff as of late. With the Stephanopoulos, I can't pronounce his name, Stephanopoulos, whatever his name is, interview, it was only like 15 minutes. It was a very, very short interview. So they're hoping that he can do a prolonged press conference for a half an hour, an hour. I'm hoping it lasts for a while so more reporters can ask him questions, but I don't know what his tone is going to be. Is he going to be the guy up there that says, hey, I made a mistake, yada, 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 or is he going to be, is he going to say everything is fine, and that type of stuff? I don't know. And plus, I'm fucking up here stuttering worse than Joe Biden right now, but I have ADHD and I'm unashamed about that, and I'm not on medication. If any president had ADHD, they'd be on medication to the max. Furman Supreme, oh jeez. I forgot all about him, oh my god. Hey, greetings from Austria. Happy to see you, my man. Happy to see you. He's going to talk about ice cream and no. Give him some slack. He's going to be talking about important things. But okay, the reason why we're all laughing here is because he already made that gaffe early. Remember, he already made a big mistake. I'll just keep showing it to you guys over and over again because it's just damn.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
Right? You can't be saying stuff like that. And he went to correct himself,
President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin.
Right? So, but when everybody is watching you, when it, you can't be making these types of mistakes. And that mental discipline is going to hurt him, especially on the campaign, if he can't get it together. Right? So I'm watching to see how this turns out. Here's CNN CNN's live right now. The White House is live. Associated Press is good, and CNBC. We don't need the CNBC. They're being very slow. But as you guys can see, there's still diplomats and stuff walking into the room. So it might take a few more minutes. But damn, this thing is going to start a whole hour late. I could never be a journalist out there at the White House because of how you have to just wait for them to get their act together. This is for any administration. If you say 6:30, it better be 6:30. If it's not 6:30, I'm going to be pissed off. I'm I got things to do. I got my reservations to go to. I got to walk my dog. I got to do stuff. And if you're not on time, I'm hey man, can you just show me the footage you take right here? I'll upload it later on. It'd be something as simple as that because I don't got time for this. If they're not going to respect my time, I'm not going to give them a good review. It's almost 8 o'clock. You know what? Yeah. That's what I said. As the debate goes longer, it may not be the best for him here. But we'll see. I'm rooting for the guy, guys. I mean, I know most of you guys don't like him, but I'm rooting for him. I really hope he does well here. I don't want to see America's enemies feel emboldened from this type of stuff. Because now that we know how bad this is, This explains why President Xi of China can be so aggressive towards us, and why Russia can be so aggressive against Europe. If you have a conversation and Joe Biden acted the way he did in that debate, you can kind of understand why they feel like, oh damn, this is our time to shine. Let's go. America doesn't know what it's doing. Woohoo! But we got a lot of checks and balances to kind of keep that in check. But yeah, it definitely allows them to make those moves that they otherwise might not have made. Even with Trump, I don't know if they necessarily respected Trump or liked him, but they knew if they fucked around, they were going to find out. They don't have that feeling right now, which is kind of a shame. But maybe another president can, maybe even Kamala Harris can. Who knows? I don't know who's going to take over for Biden if he does decide to drop out. I would assume Kamala, but there's no certainty on that one. 40 slip. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. That says a lot, actually. GVC. Let's see. Putin will be watching the Biden conference. Everybody's going to be watching the Biden conference. How could you not be watching this press conference as it happens live? It's going to be so... okay. At the end of the day, this is just a typical standard press conference. It's something very simple. But because of all of President Biden's problems over the past few weeks, as all of you guys know, he is going to be talking for a little bit longer than normal, and he's going to be doing a prolonged press conference here. Right? You notice how there's only one podium on the stage. It's not going to be a joint press conference where people he gets a break every few seconds. No. He's going to be asked a lot of questions, and they're not going to be easy questions because the media smells blood in the water right now. Blood in the water. We're going to be able to see, is he going to be able to handle this? Because normally when he does all this, he knows who to ask on, he's told who to question, what's the way to phrase this? He's told who to call on, and he knows the question they're going to be asked. It's going to be asked of him, and he has a little note to kind of how to answer it. That's how he normally does this type of stuff. None of that is happening right now. So he's going to have to do his best to stay on topic, stay focused, don't appear like his cognitive decline is getting the better of him, at least at this point in time. And what the goal is to stop the defections from the Democratic Party, because you're seeing more and more people say, hey, we need a new candidate. I think it's up to 10 people right now, and it's happening more and more and more every day. That being said, 10 is not a lot at the House. 10 is not a lot, but it's enough, more and more and more. It might start to snowball here, and I think that's what they're trying to stop by having this press conference. But again, let me introduce you to President Putin. That doesn't help. That does not help at all. And I assume CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, News Nation, Newsmax, all those stations out there, they're probably all talking about that gaffe right now going into this. That's you can't stop it. You have to be really good. You have to be very disciplined. And if you're not, you're going to get torn to shreds. And he's already getting torn to shreds right now. Let me see what's going on here. Everything is still fine here. Let me bounce off of this very fast. Let's go over here to this one. I already saw this, but it keeps on Tim Apple. Who the hell is Tim Apple? Well, whatever that President Putin thing, it was trending for a while. I might go back to trending here fairly soon, but there it is. Yeah, it's just going back and forth. I don't know why. Maybe because some people are talking about it. But yeah, it's trending all over the place right now. I posted a YouTube short on it. I don't think the YouTube short is going to go anywhere fast, but let me see. It has 11,000 views on it so far. You guys can see this right here. The President Putin comment. Almost 12,000 views, 26 subscribers. It was good. I'm happy I posted it when I did. But yeah, I'm fast on this type of stuff. I try to do it. 456 likes, but if you look at the comments here, they're never nice comments about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. People are usually pretty ticked off. Putin is in his living room laughing his ass off. Be afraid, America. Be very afraid. Oh my God! And they clapped like trained seals when he said it. And we finally beat Medicare. As an American, this is embarrassing as fuck. Putin doesn't need any comedy channel. Watching this comedy in chief is much better. Damn. damn, like I'm a guy that has a lot of American pride. I root for America. I like the old imperialistic America where we really had some control over the world, where we didn't have to spend as much money pandering to people to get what we needed. But that's not the best way to live. That's a very harsh way to impose your will on people. But again, like, Biden's a joke. God, what embarrassment. Wow. At least he isn't embarrassing us in front of the world leaders. Oh, wait, what's this? Like, damn. You know what I mean? But yeah. We'll see how this turns out. I know it might get more views down the road here. This is why I like doing separate content. But yowza. You know it's a crazy time out there right now. Everybody's watching though. Everybody's ready to watch it. I bet if I were to search President Putin right now, I bet my video is not even going to be the top one. President Putin. And let's go over here to today. 122,000 views 1 hour ago. Washington Journal, 17,000. Live now on Fox, 14,000. That's a press conference. 108 views. Joe Biden makes brutal Putin blunder at NATO. Sky News Australia. I think Sky News is very conservative. I think, but I don't know much about Australian news and some of that. But yeah, Washington Post, ABC News, The Telegraph. It's pushed out everywhere. So this will be news for a while now. It's going to be news for a while. It's going to be news for a while here, guys. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. We'll see how it turns out, though. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I haven't seen the media hostile to him until now. No, they haven't been. That's why this is such a shock. I think this is a shock for Biden, too. Remember, a few weeks ago, we saw him making tons and tons of gaffes. He's been kind of old and frail for a while, but his cognitive decline has been slowly slipping. And then when we saw all these things with him pausing or him wandering off or President Obama having to escort him off, we were told that those were all fake. And don't believe what you're seeing. But because everybody and their mom was watching that debate on between Trump and Biden, everybody saw how bad it was. They couldn't lie about it anymore. This is why I don't like the media. It's why I don't like them, and just in general. Even the Fox News, like you think, Fox News is more Trump. I don't give a rat's. Fox News is not something I like. MSNBC, I dislike them evenly. CNN, same. I actually dislike CNN worse than a lot of other stuff, primarily because they lie and say they're in the middle when they're not. They're not in the middle. But yeah, MSNBC, I don't like watching news in general. I will read articles online and stuff like that to kind of get the facts. Oh, here we go.
Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It was especially momentous because it represented the 75th year of the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world. We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II, the most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective.
This is using the teleprompter, by the way. This is teleprompter Biden.
We'd all be safer. An attack on one would be treated as an attack on all. And it's worked because a would-be aggressor knows if they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression and prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and
make sure to share your guys' thoughts and
Europe
comment as much as possible.
Back to life, because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. But this time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself. Many foreign policy experts thought as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. But Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia.
See, he went off his script. He went off the teleprompter. You can't do that. Stick to that teleprompter.
Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance, and it makes a gigantic difference. Excuse me. Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO. He's made it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said. But I made it clear a strong NATO is essential to American security. And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred. And I would remind all Americans, Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history, and that was to defend America after 9/11. I made it clear that I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will keep NATO strong. That's exactly what we did, and exactly what we'll continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people. This is much more than a political question. It's more than that. It's a national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come. Every American must ask herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer? Is your family safer? I believe the American people know. The answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world. We are an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote. Now let me turn to three other key issues. Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further.
Grocery prices up 20%.
Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas, vegetables, and other necessities. And economists tell us that that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500 a year. Second, our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working. After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border, Republicans and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away. So I took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today than when Trump left office. Third, for months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago, I laid out a detailed plan in writing. It was endorsed by the UN Security Council, the G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team to the region to hammer out the details. These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close. We're making progress. The trend is positive, and I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now. Let me conclude where I began. We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation. Our leadership matters. Our partnerships matter. This moment matters. We must rise to meet it. With that, I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here.
You can't say that out loud.
Mason.
Oh. Damn. Can't say that shit.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Oh, they're coming with daggers.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president.
Uh-oh.
But I think she was not qualified to be president.
Gaff one.
Let's start there.
Gaff one.
Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Secondly, the idea, I served in the Senate a long time. The idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. So there's a long way to go in this campaign.
He has the answers pre-ready.
I'm just going to keep moving, and because, look, I got more work to do. We've got more work to finish. There's so much, we've made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world. Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million, so things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. The prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down, and so I'm optimistic about where things are going. Danny Kemp, AFP.
Let me zoom in on his face a little
thanks.
bit.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about your, you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. Officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable.
Dude, don't make those faces.
Hasn't
Dude, it
this
scares
now
the crap out of
frankly
me.
become damaging for America's standing in the world? Thank you.
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea
this is not
anybody
going as good.
suggests
This is not going great.
that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference? I know it sounds too self-serving, but
Oh man, this
leaders,
is
heads of state,
rough, guys.
in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well. Anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one. Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge, but what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years. Have you spent time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race, despite the concerns that voters say they have, and you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval Office?
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started. As you recall, understandably, many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that, it's going to cause inflation, things are going to skyrocket, the debt's going to go up.
Everything happened. Debt went up, inflation went up.
Economist. 16 economic Nobel laureates said I've done a hell of a job. That under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future if I'm reelected, that things are going to get much better. Our economy is growing. I was determined when I got elected to stop the trickle-down economic theory, that if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table. Middle-class people and working-class people need help. And so what happened is I decided to was able to implement as president what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up. That way we grow the economy. And the wealthy still do very well. They do fine. And guess what? Find me an economist, a mainstream economist who said we haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job. And by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world. Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state in the nation combined. I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic, doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase, corporate rents for apartments and the like and homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke. And guess what? We had the Treasury Department do a study. When unions do better, everybody does better. Everybody does better.
That sounds so
creepy. And we talk
creepy.
about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there, and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to to Asia, including Europe, but Asia. And I remember going to South Korea, convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build computer chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip manufacturing just coming in the bean. None of you thought that would happen. None of you thought that would happen. But it's happening. It's happening. And it's going to grow economies.
He needs to not whisper so much.
And by the way, red states and blue states. Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as in blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea that we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fairer. And like I said, from my standpoint, when the middle class does well, that's when the whole economy grows. The poor have a shot, the wealthy do well. But the wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
As a follow-up, sir, you mentioned that your Vice President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes and her accomplishments over the last 4 years that make her ready to serve on day one if necessary?
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor. She was a first-rate person, and in the Senate, she was really good. I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president. From the very beginning, I made no bones about that. She is qualified to be president. That's why I picked her. Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
These are some softball questions.
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, and if you looked at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. And I have, I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some of them with thousands of people showing up. And so I just think it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, that's what it was about. That's what it was about. And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway.
So far, I'd say this is a 7 or 8 out of 10 performance. Not bad, but definitely not good.
I'm sorry. Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted. Are you reconsidering your position on that? And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there, leaders of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American people that you are up to the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
First thing about Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia. We have allowed Zelensky to use American weapons in the near term, in the near or abroad, into Russia. Whether or not he has...
That's big news if true. That's big news.
For example, should Zelensky, he's not, if he had the capacity to strike Moscow, strike the Kremlin, would that make sense? It wouldn't. The question
I'll say, yeah. Yeah,
what's
it
the
does.
best use of the weaponry he has, and the weaponry we were getting to him? I've gotten a more long-range capacity, as well as defensive capacity. And so our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, the chief of staff of the military, as well as the Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people. And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they should and shouldn't go, how far they should go in. That's a logical thing to do. Second question related to
nights, sir? How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or on some matter of foreign policy?
Well, I tell you what, the best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done? Am I getting the job done? Can you name me somebody who's got more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? Created 2,000 jobs just last week. So if I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. Who I got here? Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it. So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own if Donald Trump wins the election? And what's your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible US disengagement?
Well, look.
Hey, GVC, he knows some of the questions coming his way.
Can I say this without sounding too self-serving?
He's looking down before we read it. Yeah, he knows some of these questions.
I'm not having my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run. What I hear them say is, you've got to win. You can't let this guy come forward. He'd be a disaster. It'd be a disaster. I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this, recently, where NATO, I just learned about NATO, or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point.
He just told a blatant lie.
He seems
Trump
to
just
have an
heard about
affinity
NATO.
to people who are authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you, from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine, that that's going to be the end of it. And so what I can say is, I think I'm the best qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds, that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall, no one was talking about Finland joining NATO. I remember talking to Putin right after we got elected in Geneva, and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, etc. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, as you're going to get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. That's not true. Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me? Because in my office, I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes. I beg your pardon? And so Finland joined NATO. 800-mile border is a significant, and they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe I can't recall whether he said it publicly in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind it being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland. And the same thing with Sweden. took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. But it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it. And by the way, I was able to get 50 other nations, 50, to support Ukraine. 50. And we were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I've convinced a lot of people to follow it, and we're just going to get stronger. David Sanger. Where's it?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, the first part of the question is, we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do. What they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating, they're getting access to additional, they're not supplying weapons themselves, they're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to get weapons. And China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has, over 90 hours since being vice president all the way through, for real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that Xi believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we have to make clear. China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where, and we've reestablished direct contact with China after that, remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down, and all of a sudden things came to an end? Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that Xi understands there's a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe, and as it relates to Russia and dealing with Ukraine. And so for example, if you want to invest in China, as you know this area really well. If you want to invest in China, you have to have a 51% Chinese owner. You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have. There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market. And so they were doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what? They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff. Others are doing the same thing around the world. But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
Interrupt that impact?
Yes, I do.
He
but I'm not
didn't answer the
prepared
question
to
at
talk
all.
about the detail of it in public. And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as help them in as a consequence that their ability to fight in Ukraine. The other thing that we talked a lot about is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everyone got to talk about it, but we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example, we talked about how both the EU as well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to. It came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same, it's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for it to be able to the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion as well.
Mr. President, I'm not sure you answered on whether you would be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years
Right
from
now, I think it's.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years.
I think it dropped down to about 7 out of 10 right now. He's not doing terrible. It's just not good.
Like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now and direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now. There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior. But there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with. But I understand the generic point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin unless Putin's ready to change his behavior. And the idea, look, Putin's got a problem. First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, and by the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but I think Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies. They lie like hell about what's going on. And so the idea that we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine, they're not stopping in Ukraine. I recommend, I know you know this because you've written about it, read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but so I think that I'm prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk, including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was trying to get him to work on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far. So my point is, I'm prepared to talk to anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes. And look what's happened in Asia. We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anybody else has. We just put together with, today I brought on, I asked our NATO allies that we bring on the group from the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia. And I met twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations. And we've slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target, and I don't take it lightly. Sam from NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and the Palestinians and the Palestinian movement. The answer is, as you recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the King of Jordan. I met with most of the Arab leaders to try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And we pushed it really hard. And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli War Cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here come me all the time and heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her assistant was Rabin sitting next to me. That's how far back I go. I know Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution. And we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi Arabia, to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to access, get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port we attached from Cyprus. I was hopeful that would be more successful. But that's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the War Cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it, but I was totally opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on, because it was not no one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north. I said, don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing them 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and damage. But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular now. And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done as we can toward a ceasefire, and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers in Israel. I mean,
He needs to stop talking at a certain
better
point.
in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Bridge candidacy in 2020, you referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate for a younger, fresher generation of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was the gravity of the situation I inherited in terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth, most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress to get things done. We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished. If tomorrow, if we had a circumstance where there was a lineup and I hadn't inherited what I did and we just moved things along, anyway, it's going to change.
Last question.
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove, I'm sorry, was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about whether how the next week or 2 goes would inform your...
Am I using that way, you said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. You know, for the longest time it was, you know, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, you know, anyway. And so what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina to, anyway, to demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And then look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers knocking on doors, making phone calls, making tens of thousands of phone calls. We have headquarters, I forget exactly how many, I don't want to cite a number and then find out I'm off, but we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized, we're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time. Very proud of what I've done in the Senate. I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library. Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case of the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have. Control guns, not girls. I mean, the idea, we're sitting around, this is where Kamala's so good as well. We're sitting around, more children are killed by a bullet than any other cause of death. The United States of America. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing? We got a candidate saying, promise the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is what you might call the most conservative court in American history. This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still.
Why did he yell?
I'm determined to get it done. It's about freedom. And by the way, I'll end this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too. But I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being critical, just observing. The bulk of the press said, what the hell is he talking about that for? Democracy. You did. Democracy is not an issue. Democracy is not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. But do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court? Do you think democracy is under siege based on Project 2025? Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure, I mean, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say, hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. I've got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, 2 things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. In each case, as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity, the decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember when the staff and I said, I'm going to go to South Korea, we're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does is help you with it. Creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that if the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. You ought to ask Trump for his, okay? I laid it all out. And every single day I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you, or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it. But no one's suggesting that to me now. And I'll ask you another question. No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2? Who'd you have? Did you do this? How many times did you? So I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam, I'll do it. But that's where I am. Haley Bull, Scripps.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Oh.
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I get overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary. Overwhelming. And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says, we want somebody else, that's the democratic process. It's not going to happen.
Even if that means they vote for someone else?
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this. I served in the Senate a long time. I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office and whether they think the topic can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least it was a red state when I started, in terms of where you now talk red and blue. I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state when I was a candidate. The truth of the matter is I understand the self-interest of every candidate. If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them, then they're going to run away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data in their states. Look at the in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts on this stuff. How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days? I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet. Most of the time, it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So a lot can happen. but I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern. And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well. So with that, you want to follow up on any of that you just asked me?
Yes. You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me. No one's saying that. No poll says that.
I don't like the whispers personally.
Thank you.
This ends tonight's press conference. Thanks, everybody. This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
So obviously that wasn't the best thing he's ever done, but it wasn't terrible. I would say 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I wouldn't say that was like a debate disaster or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. Of course, I know there's some spit-spat going on in there. But, yeah, it definitely wasn't the best performance he could have given. But honestly, when the bar is so low, I think he did fine. I think he did fine with the bar being that low. The stream just ended here. I'm going to move over to this. There we go. But, yeah, and during that conference, nothing happened. This Bitcoin literally went sideways. Like, literally, nothing happened. So yeah, not the best performance I've seen from him. Of course, I think he'll live to fight another day, and we'll have to see what happens tomorrow if more defections come with more House members saying, "Hey, publicly, I think Joe Biden should step aside, and we should make room for a younger candidate, Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, whatever her name is." That seems to be where we're going right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed this a little bit. It seems like now that the press conference is over, Bitcoin's going up. Funny enough, that's weird. But yeah, 3 out of 10, a 4, 2.5. Damn, you guys are harsh. See Harris, 7 out of 10. There we go. Yeah, that vice president comment is apparently what's trickling on social media here. I went to look on Twitter earlier, and apparently it went from President Putin, which was the gaffe he made earlier, unfortunately. It got moved over to... what is it called? If I refresh, it should pop up. No, NATO. No. I guess it all got blended in here. It was trending for me for a little bit. It was called, here's Harris, Trump, and stuff. But basically, there was a bunch of memes. I don't want to play the audio because you guys already heard the audio. Do we have it? VP Trump. That's what I got to type in, I guess. There was a lot of cool image software. That right there freaks me out when I saw it. At first, I was like, who the fuck is that? But yeah, so it was interesting to say the least here, guys. I don't think it was a complete disaster. I know it was not good, not like great, but it wasn't a disaster. And I think that serves him well, honestly, because I think it's enough for the allies to be like, okay, he still has something going on in there. Media will be a little bit harsher on him, I think. But I was on CNBC as well, and they said like breaking news: Joe Biden makes gaffe during press conference. Like, how attentive are you guys really trying to be here? So you have Biden stumbles over Zelensky introduction, then literally right next door to it, Biden loses his train of thought, calls Harris Vice President Trump, and so on. So we'll see how all this goes, everybody. It's definitely it definitely just makes you worry because, in my opinion, there's like you're just worried about everything at this point. So I'm just going to keep chilling, do what I'm doing here. We'll see each other a little bit later on. I'm going to end the stream right now and take Loki out to use the bathroom. He's actually pretty mad at me. He's been looking at me for a while. I don't know if you guys can see him. Look at him. That's his unhappy stare. Like, where's Loki at? Oh, yeah, you see how fast he jumped up there? Yeah. Oh, are you being over there? Oh, you're such a good little boy. Where's Loki at? Loki. Oh, you got your toy too? Yeah, so he's ready to play. Ready to go outside a little bit. Oh, I said outside. That's the key word to like, let's go. And then I gotta hit the cigar lounge up tonight. But yeah, so things are okay. The market's okay. We'll have to wait to see a little bit later on to see what happens. If I'm back home a little bit later on tonight, I will stream live for you guys. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this stream. You know, when we're doing this political stuff, as I notice this type of stuff, I do say that you guys seem to be much more engaged than when I talk about cryptocurrency. So I may lean into this a little bit more. Don't get mad at me if I share viewpoints that are more democratic or more conservative. I'm just going to be talking about things from different views. Like, for example, I said Biden had like a 5 or 6 out of 7 type of thing, or 6 out of 10 type of debate. See, now I'm studying. Press conference day. You know, don't try to fight people over that type of stuff. Stay nice and civil, if you will. Be more pro your candidate than anti the other guy, and I think everything usually works out pretty well. Somebody's an impatient here, but anyway, I like what we did. I like the discussion. We got a little spicy here every now and again, but I think it works out. I think it works out pretty well. So if you guys like this, you know, let me know in the comments after this video gets closed down. I appreciate it a lot, and I'll be doing a lot more of these types of things in the future because I am trying to get into that political side of things. It's just I'm not going to be sucking Biden or Trump dick. So just, you know, don't be excited for that type of shit. I'll be cussing out Trump and Biden side by side about stuff that I like and I don't like about them. All right, so enjoy that. You'll see me cussing a little bit more maybe here. But thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I also just appreciate the engagement. It means a lot when you guys are having a good time commenting, even if you guys don't